Monica, we are live.
So I start.
Yes, please.
So good evening to one and all gathered here. National Science Day is celebrated on 28th Feb. And this day holds immense significance for several reasons, both history and in the present day. This day commemorates a groundbreaking scientific discovery, the day that celebrates the discovery of the Raman effect by Sir C.V. Raman, a significant milestone for Indian science. It is also a day that recognizes the contribution of scientists. It's a day that highlights the importance of scientific temper and encourages young people to pursue careers in science and technology. So this day is but ideal for us to have invited Dr. Maryann Washington to talk about the importance of nursing as a STEM field, about the significance of the day, and encouraging young people to pursue careers in science focusing on nursing. A brief introduction about the speaker of the day. Dr. Maryann Washington is a professor of nursing research in the Division of Epidemiology and Population Health at the prestigious St. John's Research Institute in Bangalore. As a child health nurse who has approximately 17 years of experience in the clinical area and academia, and who has more than 10 years of experience in the public space of maternal, newborn, child, and adolescent health, she can but see the enormous inequity of health services and challenges faced by people to receive quality care, especially for those who are most disadvantaged and who require these services the most. We are glad to have you here with us today, ma'am. I now hand over the session to Dr. Maryann Washington and to the audience. The session may last for about 35 to 40 minutes. And you can go ahead and type in your questions in the chat section. And the same would be addressed at the end of the speaker's address. So I hope you have a wonderful learning experience today. Over to you, Dr. Maryann Washington.
Thank you, Monica. Before I start, I would like to check whether you can hear me first. Okay. I would like to thank the JPIGO and Monica for the introduction. Just give me, I'll share my slide. We're looking at nursing. And is nursing a STEM allied subject or a subject itself? So I will be discussing today what, why, and how we can probably be included as a STEM. Today, at the end of the session, I would like you to be able to recognize what the National Science Day is about, be aware of what STEM and STEAM is, acknowledge the importance of why nursing needs to be considered as STEM or STEAM, and how can we as nurses integrate in normal practice and teaching this concept of STEM, learn to identify the benefits, that is not necessary, nursing diagnosis. Importance of the National Science Day, I think Monica has already covered that. It builds a strong scientific foundation for India's future. And would I, as a nurse, consider myself as a science person? I would say yes. Okay, and so me as a nurse, I would love that you, whoever I'm talking to, as nurses, whether students, whether faculty, whether practicing nurses or administrators in nursing, or nurses working in industry or wherever you are, consider yourselves as individuals with a science background, the S, with a T, a technical background also, and a technological base, as well as with, in terms of, might be having an engineering mindset, having an artistic and arts background, as well as a mathematical background. So building a strong scientific foundation for India's future. And here I'm talking about India's future nurses as well as the present nurses. Promote innovation and technological progress, enhance the quality of life for all citizens. And we as nurses play a very vital role. I think we are the only individuals and professionals who are there at the beginning of life, through life, and at the end of life. So that's why I would say it is important we consider as a great STEM subject. Create a more sustainable and equitable future for the planet. So what is STEM? STEM, in simple terms, is an educational inquiry where learning was placed in context and where students solved real world problems and created opportunities, the pursuit of innovation. We as nursing students or faculty or staff in practice or in education are always faced with real world problems with regards to health, with regards to the emotional issues of individuals that we provide care for, etc. So that's very, very close to my heart. And STEM subjects include basically chemistry, information technology sciences, engineering, geosciences, life sciences, the mathematical sciences, physics, astronomy, and the social sciences. This was in 2018. Till date, it is not included as a subject, even in the US, because they consider us as an applied subject. So what are some STEM fields like biomedical scientist, the pharmacist, an IT consulting, application development, mechanical engineer, civil engineer, data analyst, accountants. All these are subjects and areas that are very, very closely linked to STEM disciplines. Do I find nursing there? No, I don't find nursing here. And as I talk about it, I'm sure some of you have read the story, The Five Blind Men and the Elephant, which was written in the 1800s by John Jeffrey Sachs. And you'll find these five men, obviously blind, were taken towards this elephant. Okay, and you can see in this picture, the blind man and the elephant, it was six men, of Hindustan to learning much inclined, who went to see the elephant, though all of them were blind. They each, by observation, might satisfy his mind. The first approached the elephant and happening to fall against his broad, sturdy side, at once began to bawl, God bless me. But the elephant is very like a wall. So that was the perception. He fell against him and said, wow, he's like a wall. The second one, feeling the tusk, cried, oh, what have ye here? So very round and smooth and sharp. To me, 'tis mightily clear. This wonder of an elephant is like a spear, because he felt the trunk. Yeah. The third approached the animal and happening to take the squirming trunk within his hands, thus boldly up and spake, I see, he said, the elephant is like a snake. The fourth reached out his eager hand and felt about the knee. What most this wondrous beast is like is mighty plain. 'Tis clear enough the elephant is very like a tree. He said, this really feels like a tree. And the fifth one chanced to touch the ear. And he said, the elephant is very like a fan. So you'll find the sixth. No sooner had he begun about the beast to grope than seizing on the swinging tail. And he said, the elephant is like a rope. And so these men in Hindustan disputed loud and long. each in his own opinion exceeding stiff and strong, though each was partly in the right and all were in the wrong. Now, why did I speak about the blind man and the elephant? I'm speaking of it because several times, we are blinded by what we are doing as nurses. And I have joined the nursing profession because I wanted to. I didn't enter the profession blindly. I had a fantastic example in my mother being a nurse herself. And although I wanted to become a doctor in my 10th standard, I changed my view of what I wanted to become in my first year PU when I saw someone looking after my grandmother. And I said, the doctors come and go, but a nurse is with the patient. I said, I want to be with like that. And that's when I changed my mind. Important. What am I showing over here? Do we wait for the tree to grow, water it, to hurt ourselves? Do we, as nurses, might be grow through the 4 years, learn so much, and hurt ourselves? Or are we there to recognize that I have fantastic potential for the health of this country itself? So, what do we need to be in the STEM field? I think I very strongly believe, we require logical thinking, we require hands on work, and we require a lot of experience. And I think all three of them go hand in hand. Can we claim and move towards being called STEM? I think very much. Because if I look at the background of nursing itself, the subjects that you learn, we learn anatomy, physiology, microbiology, biochemistry, we science subjects. And you come with the background of sciences. You come with might be physics, chemistry, biology. Only certain states in India allow the arts subjects for people to enter into the nursing field. So we already have a scientific background. We apply the sciences, math, and innovative technology through our assessments. We do assessments with the patients. We do diagnosis. This patient is in pain. This patient has a respiratory distress. This patient might be depressed. So in our minds, we are looking at the pros and cons of what is really going on with the patient, and we come to a diagnosis and we plan for patient's care. So that is why we say, and I would urge you, read this article, which I've given the reference for. It says, can we claim and move towards being a STEM subject, the nursing field? Hone your critical thinking skills. When I say hone your critical thinking skills, question. Don't just simply accept, okay, my teacher is telling me to do it this way, so I do it this way. All of us are born with might be fantastic thinking ability. Analyze, why am I doing this? Could I do it better? So analyze, use your logical reasoning. Is there a faster way in doing things so that I don't get so tired? Is there a way I can do things and it don't hurt my back as a nurse? Plenty of nurses have back problems. Okay, so applying standards or best practices. Now, these skills are developed through discussions on how to cluster data. You cluster data, you look, you observe, and check out. Is it possible that I can make a difference in the health field? Making comparisons. Can I do this? And I'll give you examples as I move on and not do something else. So that is basically what I'm saying is hone your critical thinking. How do we, as nurses, move towards being a STEM field? I have used the acronym Closing the Gap because I believe we need to get into the STEM field. In the US, STEM fields are there and they are recognized by the Labor Commission. They are recognized by the educational fields in the US simply because There is more chance of people getting funding. There's more chance if somebody wants to move to the US, if you are categorized in STEM, you are taken in immediately. So that is an important reason. But do we in India consider nursing as STEM? I have not found any literature with regards to that. And we need to definitely consider this aspect. So closing the gap. The first C, churn out motivated nurses. I am talking now to the leaders of nurses, whoever is there in this presentation, whoever is listening. If you are in the leadership field, if you are heading a educational institution, if you are a nursing superintendent, or might be if you are a ward in charge, enable and encourage nursing students, your staff, your employees to be motivated, to have a purpose. That's so important. And believe, give them a common purpose. That is an important thing. And you can do this by modeling in front of them. Not showing you're tired, or not showing you are frustrated, or not showing you are irritated by the system, but always being hopeful, always sure that yes, there is going to be a better place and a better way of doing things for individuals. L. So C can also be community diagnosis. I've taken this example. If you look at this picture, I love the picture. The white person says, "Did you stay too long and get burnt?" And the black one says, "No, normal 9 months. And you? Did they take you out raw?" I loved that. So you can find that these two kids are looking, they are analyzing, they're collecting data to a large extent. And do we have that ability to collect data when we are small? Yes, we have that ability to collect data. Probably our education system in school, etc., prevents us from questioning. And we have rote learning. But I would encourage you, ask questions, collect data. Collect data from your patients, collect data from the community, because we need a complete assessment. Look at data, cluster that data. Don't just make uh, individual observations, but you need to make overall observations, especially if you are in the leadership position, if you are might be in the service side, in the education side, or even might be the industrial side as a nurse. The second, L, nurses need to link work to health outcomes. I have learned this in the last, might be 12, 13, 14 years when I went into the public health space. Okay, and keep in mind, data interpretations can be subject to error. You can make mistakes. But what do I require to develop or to be able to link my work to health outcomes? I need my competencies in terms of how I think, how I relate with people, how I am skilled, my technical domains. I need personal strengths of tolerance for ambiguity and the use for reflective practice. And I need to build my senses. I need to build my senses. And I say the senses of observation, of feeling, of listening to different kinds of people. Today, I'm in the public health space, and I basically work with newborns, with newborn health and mothers. Now, if I want to, and we are mostly from the Research Institute, we are mostly into implementation research, where we want to scale up interventions which are evidence-based, which are scientific, and which are known to help in newborn health. But how do we scale it up, and how do we expect might be public health hospitals to scale up and to use these interventions? We listen to them. We go into the field and we ask, what are your challenges? What are your difficulties? And then plan a program to help them absorb these interventions. So you'll find that is important. Build your senses. So link work to health outcomes. And why am I doing this? I'm doing this basically because I want to reduce neonatal mortality. The world over, we want to reduce neonatal mortality because we know that more than 40% of under 5 mortality comes from that, the neonatal mortality. So we have to do that. Keep in mind keen observations. The O, closing. O stands for making keen observations. I'm sharing a picture of an example that we did. We did with, again, very, very small babies. Babies who are born less than 2 kgs. The normal birth weight of a baby is between 2.5 to 3.5 in the Indian context. In the Western context, it can be more than that. But if a baby is less than 2.5 kgs, we call them low birth weight babies. If a baby is less than 2 kgs at birth, we call them small babies. And they can be preterm, they can be full-term babies, but they are still small. Okay, now, keen observations. We noticed that we were doing a study in one particular district and we saw that the reporting of babies who were small was not correct. We would see that if a baby was weighing 1.9 kgs or 1.8 kgs, the nurses were rounding it up and saying 2 kgs. Or if the baby was 2.45 kgs, we noticed that they were reporting it as 2.5 kgs. And it's a big difference because the care, the problems that these small babies have will be different. And then we went into the field and said, what are they using for checking the weight of the babies? And we noticed they were not using the digital scale, which is shown over here, but they were using the beam scale where the needle goes, moves this way, that way, and might be stand still at a particular time. But the baby is crying, and so it's moving again. So it was not very accurate. And so they round it off. So what happened was, because of our observations and how they were checking the weight, what was the issue, we got a different weighing scale into the system, and we got them to accurately weigh the children. So that is something that is important to keep in mind. Keen observations. Do I require scientific mind for that? Obviously, because I am measuring the weight of the baby. I have to measure that carefully to be able to classify this baby. Is this baby at risk or not at risk? S stands for being supportive of each other. And I learned my lesson of being supportive by looking at ants. Can you see these ants crossing from one place to the other? They're supporting each other. They're bridging, and thereby you'll find the cross from one place to the other. If you look at birds flying, they are always supportive of each other when they fly. You look at them, keenly observe the wings. Are the wings in the same direction? You'll find here they are up, here they are up, here they are down, here they are down, here they are up, and here they're very up. Why? Because they are able to create the kind of vacuum that is required for the bird to be lifted up. Simply amazing. And that is something we as nurses need to learn, to support each other. Seniors supporting the juniors, juniors learning from the seniors. And as you gain experience, support the newcomer into the health system itself. That's so, so important to be able to be a scientific thing. I is innovative methods. Find out innovative methods. I've given you examples. Now, these are examples of innovative methods that can be utilized. I'm giving you this example. This is an innovation that we did from the research institute itself. Okay, so you'll find we were talking about, I spoke to you about small babies. So one thing that is recommended, which is known to reduce the mortality of small babies, reduce the chance of a small baby dying, is kangaroo mother care. So what is kangaroo mother care? Where the mother keeps the baby skin to skin on her chest. It could be the mother, and it should preferably be the mother, but it could also be the father a grandfather, an uncle, an auntie, a older sibling, provided they are healthy. So what we found was, and it's known that if a mother or if the baby is kept skin to skin for more than 8 hours, then the chance of this baby dying is going to be reduced further by 40%. So we were not able to actually measure this. I mean, who's going to sit and measure them? Sometimes the mother doesn't write down when she starts kangaroo mother care, when she completes it, etc. So we started this new. We developed the small device, and this device was pasted on the baby. So you'll find this side was on the baby side, and the other was on the mother's side. So when the baby was skin to skin, based on the temperature that was recorded, this is remote. It's a remote biomonitoring device, and we could get the reading of temperature. When the baby is in contact with the mother, the temperature of the baby is increasing. When the baby is not in contact with the mother, the temperature is low. And we know that. We also could record the angle. We were getting remote readings of the angle in which the baby was. So if the baby was upright, then we knew the baby was in kangaroo mother care. So you'll find this is something. So as nurses, because you are with your patients day in and day out, find out, question, try different things and see, can this work? Will this be a better way? Can I get and give this idea to somebody who's more technical and say, hey, can we do this? Can we find out something that is different? N, nurture your professional skills. The fact that you're here today is a great example. Nurturing your professional skills. So attending a continuing professional development course, like a workshop, or going for conferences, or attending might be an additional online course. These are some things that you can do. Read. Make a commitment to read, might be an article, or might be a chapter in a book. Something to keep yourselves updated, to keep your brains and the networking in your brains active. And do courses, short-term courses. I'm not telling you to go for professional courses. Do short-term courses because that will help you always be active neurologically in your brains. Florence Nightingale, the founder of modern nursing, said, let us never consider ourselves finished nurses. We must be learning all our lives. And that is something I have learned right from the beginning. I really am grateful to my mentors, to my parents who've encouraged that. They said, learn, and there's no age bar for learning. If you want to learn, you will learn. So that is an important. Nurture your professional skills. G, generate solutions. Search. Now we've all gone. I've again put this picture over here. You'll find for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. We're all different. Might be those of you from UP. If there are anybody else from any other part of the country, we're very, very different. We're different, but we all go through the same exam, the same professional exam, and we all come out. We all will pass. Some will be left behind, but they will also get through. So you'll find because we've all, and we stand might be equal at the beginning. And then there are some who rise up. There are some who remain in the same position, etc. My thought process is, it doesn't matter where you are, but find out the area that you would want to be. Am I interested in the practice field? Am I interested in the research field? Am I interested in the education field? I think I'm right now, today, if I look at myself, I am using the skills that I had right from school age. Generate solutions. So you'll find search and review of literature, questioning, use guidelines and algorithms. I'll come to my journey later, but I've started with regards to my journey. Always If you find might be patients, there is a patient and there seems something wrong, but you're not able to pinpoint and say what is wrong. Probably look up, look up literature and see, is there anybody else who has a similar situation? And you're so lucky because today, with technology, you have everything might be a touch of a button. You have literature available. So find things out. Find out what is the world saying about this? What is the science saying about this particular problem? Can I do something about it? Okay? Look at guidelines. Look at algorithms. G also is guidelines. And you'll find our country that way has fantastic guidelines. Guidelines with regards to care of patients, specific patients, etc. Like for non-communicable diseases, for newborn care, for managing might be a pregnant woman, managing a woman in labor. There are guidelines which have come out, which the government has really come out, which we can make use of. T. T stands for teamwork. Work together as a team, but find your niche. Find your unique strengths. What are you good at? As a nurse, that is important. Identify what are your strengths. If I look at my journey, I started as a bedside nurse. Looking after patients, looking after children. My experience has only been with children. And I loved it because they taught me so much. This was after my degree. I got into academics and then went back for my master's, did my MPhil, and worked in academics for more than 14 years. At least for 10 years after my master's. And I really wanted a break because I felt the academics was becoming too very, rote, too very chock-a-block. This is how it should be done. And it was preventing me from innovating, preventing me from thinking creatively. And fortunately for me, my kids came along. And so I sat at home, but I started consulting. And while consulting, I did courses. And then I entered into the public health space. So you'll find, and today, working in the public health space, working in communities, in districts, I can see the big difference. I can see myself using my maternal skills as a mother, my skills as a midwife, because I worked with the students for conducting deliveries in the first 2 years of my academic posting. So I'm very good with that. I'm using my newborn skills. I'm using my pediatric skills. I taught research for several years. And so that has come in. My clinical skills have decreased to some extent, but when it comes to identifying what is wrong in this particular field, I'm able to do it. And I go back to the clinical field to be able to remember, to be able to also practice to some extent. So teamwork, I'm saying find your niche. Always step ahead by finding out what are you very good at. People will seek you out. People will definitely say, hey, this person is good. And they will want you to be in their team because you will be contributing. Teamwork, whether you're working in the ward, whether you're working in a hospital, whether you're working in a research team, not might be competing with the other, but looking at your strength and looking at the strength of another and joining together to be able to get the work together. So that is an important thing to keep in mind. T again is testing hypothesis. If you see, most of my talk is based on the experience that I've been having. So testing hypothesis. We believe very strongly from the Research Institute itself, mentoring. Mentoring can help in bringing a change in the quality of care provided by nurses in the primary health centers, in the community health centers for mothers during labor. Because if I look at might be what is happening in the public health space, there is supervision, which is great. But the supervision is only looking at targets. How many deliveries were conducted? How many might be births were good? How many stillbirths? How many neonatal mortality? Neonates dying. So things that were wrong, etc. It was basically on numbers. And as a result of which nurses would get really very, very worried because they are being questioned at the primary healthcare level. So we said, let's move into another level of mentoring. And we were able to show in 8 districts in North Karnataka with on-site nurse mentoring, the quality of care for mothers coming in for delivery, early postnatal, early neonatal care had improved. So you'll find that is testing hypothesis. So that is an important thing. Second one, support for families and mothers. We also looked at this. We tested this out and checked out. Okay, support for mothers and families. If we support them, it improves the kangaroo mother care. That was a hypothesis I had for my doctoral degree. If mothers are educated, if they are helped to put that small baby, tiny baby, skin to skin, there is a chance that they will keep that baby for a longer period of time. For more than 8 hours is what is recommended. So we say 10 hours, 12 hours. And we found this. This is happening at a district level. Teaching children with diabetes. This is now a hypothesis I would love to test. If I teach children who have diabetes about what is diabetes, what are the foods they can take, what are the activities they can do, how much and how to adjust the insulin because they have to be lifelong on insulin. People say they have better control. I've not tested it. So test hypothesis. I'm not tested because I'm not in the field of diabetes. But if you have a chance, please do that. Check it out. So test hypothesis, test your observations. E stands for etiquette. I love the saying of Maya Angelou. As a nurse, we have the opportunity to heal the mind, soul, heart, and body of our patients, their families, and ourselves. They may forget your name, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So always make them feel good, whether you are stressed. And I think that's something beautiful because I think, yes, you have entered the profession. And there may be various reasons why you have entered nursing as a profession. Might be for the job security, might be to go abroad, might be just to look after people or to care for people. And nursing, I believe, is not only a science but an art. But an art. Today, I witnessed a delivery. I went into the labor room because I needed to observe something. A woman was delivering her first baby. And I could see that she was tired. What I was really happy about was there was a nurse over there who was looking at her and asking her, do you want some water? Who was rubbing her forehead and saying, don't worry, we look after you and we will take care. Okay, so you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. So you might be facing difficulties in your clinical setting or in the in probably even in at workspace. But how you respond to them is something that you can keep in mind. Always maintain your dignity. That is something to keep in mind. G is have a goal in life. Where do you want to be? It's never straight. It's never straight like this. Sometimes it could go twisted or it's never straight like this. But know where you want to go and find that place where you want to go. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. Give it away. Once you find your purpose, you will have the energy and the strength to be able to manage. A is build your autonomy. Be able to be knowledgeable, be skillful, and competent in what you are doing. People will never question you. Okay, have the autonomy, have the independence to be able to say, hey, I think there's something different over here. I think this can be done better. So increase your knowledge for healthy lifestyle. Yourself as a nurse. Every time I go and see my mother is 92 years old and she stays might be 10 minutes away. And she asks me, how do you come? So I say, I walk, Mama, and come and see you. And then she says, how will you go so late in the night? I said, Mom, I tell you to walk, which means I should walk also. So increase your knowledge of healthy lifestyle. Don't preach to somebody if you are not doing it yourself. Improve healthy lifestyle practices. The food that you eat, how healthy is it? Improve your own self-esteem. You nurses are the backbone of the health system. So believe that. And if you believe that, you will have pride in what you do and you will want to do things in a better way. Your patients will want to come back and see you. Okay, so this is something that can be kept in mind. Practice. P is practice. Use your skills. Will interventions help you in your lifestyle itself? I will end with this. P with a parable of the pencil. The pencil maker took the pencil aside just before putting him into the box. And there were 5 things you need to know, he told the pencil. Before I send you out into the world, always remember them and never forget, and you will become the best pencil you can. 1, you will be able to do great many things, but only if you allow yourself to be held in someone else's hand. Identify who that someone is for you. Your mentor, your teacher, your senior, your family member. 2, you will experience a painful sharpening from time to time, but you'll need it to become a better pencil. Okay, the pencil has to be sharpened to be writing. 3, you will be able to correct any mistakes you make. 4, the most important part of you will always be what's inside you. And 5, on every surface you are used on, you must leave your mark. No matter what the condition, you must continue to write. The pencil understood and promised to remember and went into the box with a purpose in its heart. I would want you to replace yourself as the pencil and think about who can help you. Think about the challenges you face and believe that it will help you become better. Believe that you can correct your mistakes. Believe that the most important part of you is what is inside you. And the last is create a niche for yourself and an impact so that others will be able to say, hey, that's a fantastic nurse. Thank you very much. I'll stop here and I will.
Thank you, ma'am, for such a great session. So there's one question.
Yes.
Could you please elaborate on how we could close the gap between academics, clinical services, and research? Given the current situation that we have a lot of brain drain of nurses to other countries, and we do not meet the expected nurse-patient ratio. Could you give us some practical tips on what we can do within the existing system?
Okay. I am not sure from which direction it has come, who has asked this question, whether it is a educationist, an academician, or whether it's a practicing nurse. I believe it's how you feel. I think when I was in education, I was still a researcher. I would constantly also want to upskill my clinical competencies. So if you are in the education field, I'll say don't stick only to the education field. I have seen in Australia, I've also seen in the UK. If you're in the education field, you're only in the education field. and there are separate nurses in the clinical area. So students learn only from the clinical area, and when they come to university, they're having their theory classes. But I think I came from an institution which was uh, an institution which believed that education and practice go hand in hand. And so they imbibed that by their faculty also being part of the clinicals, taking responsibility for clinical areas and also contributing to the care of patients. So I think if you start from yourself, within yourself itself, and gradually you will be able to create others realizing the benefit. Because if you go to the clinical side and you're seeing patients, you're also seeing what is happening, then you teach, you will definitely be better. Research is something I don't see it separate. Many people ask me, have you gone into research? Are you doing research? I say, yes, might be it is research, but I actually think it is practice. I actually think it is health systems that we are strengthening, that we are what we are doing in terms of the research institutes. So you'll find that is an important thing for not thinking I'm education, I'm in the practice field. Can I work together? Teamwork is something that you can, this one. You can build the strength of the nurses in the practice field by contributing your knowledge. The nurses in the practice field can build your own lacunae in terms of the skills. So that is what I would suggest is work together as a team. Look at the strengths, acknowledge the strengths of the other person and say, hey, yeah, you're doing a fantastic job. You're so great. Today, I asked a staff nurse in the NICU when I went to the NICU and I said, I'm coming back next week. I've forgotten about how I didn't have CPAP when I learned nursing. So I said, I want to learn about CPAP. Now, why would I want to do that? I know I'm going to do that because we have projects with in terms of reduction of neonatal mortality rate, where we are looking at CPAP. And I said, if I can't do that project if I'm not skillful. So she said, please come, I will show you. I know the theory behind it. I know how to connect the tubes, etc. But I want to be skilled in that. So don't have a hesitation to learn. Another suggestion I would give you. And have the humility. I don't know it, and be willing to learn. Thank you. Thank you, Monica. Any other questions?
Thank you, ma'am. There are no other questions. So we are at the end of today's session, and I think it was, a wonderful session, and you very succinctly wove science with skill and, with your own life, and the importance of still retaining the compassionate bit in nursing. So I think one of the first questions that were asked to us when we were freshers was, is nursing a science or an art? And I think it was a question that used to frequent our fundamentals of nursing question paper. So thanks, for reiterating that nursing is science and also has art woven very, very intricately into the science part. So I agree with you that nursing is a part of STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and math. And certain key points that you highlighted today was about the importance of questioning, which is contrary to today's education system, because people take questioning as equal to arrogance, people generally tend to think that a person who questions too much is trying to put the other person down. And thank you for talking about the need for constant learning and updating oneself, and also about the importance to create a niche so that we always are working around what we are passionate about. And I think this talk today would be an inspiration to many, Though we are live right now, this session would also be posted on all the social handles, and there would be many more people who watch this session. And thank you for such a wonderful and inspiring session. And we at Jopaigo very, very happy to have you with us today here, ma'am. So thank you. Thank you so much, and have a great evening.
Thank you. Can I leave, Monica?